Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Infinite Love. It's your local hippie, or Angelica, as most people know me. I created this channel to talk about things that are going on in the world and the universe, and as it's expanding, and as we expand and evolve, we're finding that the world's changing, and in ways that we probably wouldn't have ever even imagined or conceived of you know, when we were small. So, you know, welcome. This is the place for knowledge, and I always encourage you guys to not just believe me. Research these subjects on your own. I've been through my own spiritual type awakening, this time of great awakening, and spirituality, and all of that kind of good stuff. And I encourage everybody to have their own experiences and form their own opinions and on and around all of these subjects that I'm talking about. So today I wanted to talk about empaths. I have myself, I'm an empath. I learned I was an empath, I'd say close to 5 years ago. And since learning I was an empath, it made other things come into clarity. It became Things became more clearer as I learned that what the traits of an empath were, and I learned that I wasn't just a big, you know, ball of emotion, or bipolar, how has our society likes to label things. So empaths, what are empaths? I want to talk about what empaths are, and the characteristics characteristics or traits that they exhibit. And I want to preface this video and the videos like this, because I'm going to go through star seeds and light workers and empaths, this one, indigos. All of these, you have to remember and realize, keep in mind that these are just terms and labels that we have for somebody, a soul that exhibits certain types of traits, or a certain type of soul that came in to do a certain service to humanity. So remember, keep those things in mind. Calling yourself an empath doesn't make you more or less special than anybody else. Keep things in perspective, basically, is what I'm saying here. I believe empathy is another type of intuition, just like what we call a psychic in society, is just a different kind of intuition. You are tuning into somebody else's emotions, and you're feeling them as your own. And I want to say that empathy is actually different than compassion or sympathy. Sympathy and compassion, you can have an understanding of what somebody's going through, and you can have sympathy for them and be sympathetic. Empathy is totally different. You are taking them on. You're taking that physical or emotional pain on as your own. It's totally different from sympathy or compassion. Totally different. These are the types of abilities that we, as spiritual beings in human bodies, really do have, and anybody can be an empath or even develop empathy. um, Anybody can be an empath. It's just a matter of tapping into somebody else's emotions, and as well as your own. Before we get into the traits, I wanted to kind of talk about how people who discover that they're empaths, they look at it as it's a gift and a curse. And there's other people that look at it as just being a curse. And I used to be one of those people, either just a curse or a gift and a curse. But I have to say that when you start really developing this gift of empathy, it's really just a gift. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. It's all a matter of how conscious you are and where your focus is in turning it on, turning it off. These are abilities that we can develop, that we can make bigger, that we can expand on. These are really gifts. So like I said, there's a lot of people that like to think of it as a curse because they're taking people's emotions and physical pains on so much that it drains us. It can have a lasting physical effect, and then you don't want to be around people. And I think this gift, this ability of empathy, it was made to be expanded on to where we can turn it on and off, and it's not this place of, oh my God, I'm drained, I don't like being around people, where it's more of a negative. You're experiencing it more of in a negative type of manner. We have to be conscious of where we are mentally, and what thoughts we have around this ability. Because when you're thinking of it as a curse, you are going to experience it as such. When I started seeing it more as a gift, it became more of a gift. I don't have to take people's emotions on as my own. I can experience that type of compassion without taking all of their stuff on as my own. So I see it more as my superpower, where I can turn it on and off, and I can develop this gift and really pick up on what people are feeling around me, because I can tell when somebody's angry, somebody's sad. I can tell when somebody's energy shifts even slightly. So I think this is an ability where we can pick up on people around us rather than simply just taking on their shit and draining ourselves. Along with these intense emotions, a lot of people don't know where they're coming from. If you don't know you're an empath, you might know now. It might be clicking now that you're an empath. You pick up on people's emotions, and all of these intense emotions can be really, really uncomfortable, which might lead us down the road of, you want to numb it. You want to get rid of it by drinking, or by doing drugs in some kind of way to numb the pain. And I think that a lot of empaths might turn to that as a form of relief, and not dealing with it. But when you can actually be open to it and really realize it and process it, and embrace it as an ability, we can experience it as such. It's my belief that empaths have been around since the beginning of time. But given the time period and the era that we're in this great awakening. We're in what I like to call the age of empowerment. We're currently experiencing as a collective all of this hate, all of this violence, all of this corruption, greed, and destroying the planet. We're destroying each other. We're destroying ourselves. I believe all of these souls with this empathic ability have come down from, heaven, or whatever you like to call it. They've come here forth to earth to help humanity reawaken and rediscover, because we have become, as a society, so cut off from our feelings, from our emotions. We don't want to let people in. We're paranoid. We're fearful of what people might do to us. And we've become so paranoid in this sense. And we have closed our heart space. We have closed ourselves off from really experiencing the world. I mean, we're constantly on our phones and doing this, that we forget to connect to people. And I think empaths are those souls that have come to earth that are going to help show us and open up our heart space and show us how showing your emotion and being vulnerable is a strength, not a weakness. And I believe that there are three things that they have came to show us. They have come to help bring humanity back by showing society how to feel again. Number two, I believe that also when we live our lives devoid of emotion, the world goes to shit. Basically, we've kind of seen that, like I just said. And number three, they're showing society how to come from a place of feeling and of love. We're living in a time where these sensitive souls are needed to help raise the collective's awareness on feeling and the importance of it. And I also get that there's people that will scoff at these ideas of empaths and light workers and whatnot, these star seeds. But that's because we've been desensitized as a society. We have all of these, violent movies and violent video games that we just are inundating ourselves with because we're choosing what we watch, right? So we are inundated with it, but we are also doing it to ourselves. We're also to choosing to desensitize ourselves, and there also might be, cultural or religious or societal beliefs that, oh, that stuff's witchcraft, that stuff's the occult, that's from the devil, don't pay attention to it, oh my god. That's all fear-based. You have to realize, when you're coming from a place where you are fearing something and you're scared of it, it's because there's probably a misunderstanding. You don't understand it as fully as you think. And it's always been my experience that when I feared something myself, it's because I just didn't have a comprehensive understanding of what was truly going on there. This is the age of the Great Awakening, or like I like to call it, the age of empowerment, and we're becoming increasingly aware of abilities that we can possess as spiritual beings in a physical body that we heretofore, just put in a box and labeled taboo, and we stopped talking about it. We stopped passing this information on, and somewhere it just became such a long span of time that we weren't learning these concepts, that we just forgot, and we become ignorant. We become fearful of these kind of things and these kinds of abilities, that, it's stuff like the occult, the paranormal, the metaphysical, that we label it as something to be feared, and we misunderstand it, and we completely miss it, and miss the meaning, or miss the gift of what it was trying to show us or tell us. And I think it's time to come out of those dark ages. We're at the end of a cycle of forgetting, where I kind of like to call it was like kind of the dark ages. We're coming into this cycle of remembering what we are, how powerful we are, the abilities that we can possess, and really starting to invoke a real change on this planet for the better. These are all things that we really need to re-examine as a society, and instead of just fearing them and saying they are bad, they are from the devil, and they are not to be trusted. It's time to really, in this time of awakening, you'll see it's time to really start re-examining what the hell we've been telling ourselves and what the hell we've been perpetuating to our children. Number one, obviously, this is the definition of an empath. You take on another's feelings, emotions, or physical ailments as your own. And this also includes energy. I mean, obviously, everybody's made of energy, and you're going to take their energy state or whatever on. But this has to do with just other energies that might be floating around that you're picking up on. It could be another person. It could just be energy that's floating as a collective. It could be a lot of different things. Number two, a knowing or intuition. This is where you have that you don't know how you know, but you know type of thing, where you have no clue how you know, but you know. And empaths experience this on a daily basis, and they'll just say things, well, I know that this is true and this is true. And this is completely different than somebody coming up with some kind of ignorant or unconscious type of phrase, or whatever's coming out of their mouth. That's completely different. You'll even experience the energy from an empath as they know something's going on. Number three, they avoid crowds. Yes. It's a lot of energy to be around in a crowd. Think of all of the things that go through just your mind. Now put yourself in a crowd of even 10 people, 10,000 people. The bigger the crowd, the more energy just in general is floating through the air, and you're liable to pick up on any one of those depending on where you are mentally, where your own physical state, your own emotional state. It depends on what you're going to pick out from those crowds. And then, like I was talking about before, you can become drained, and then even resentful, resentful that, all these people are draining you, and that it's because you are just too aware of everybody, and you're picking up on all of that, and you're taking it all on, and you completely just drain yourself. Number 4, they tend to be loners. And I can't say that for all empaths, but a lot of empaths, especially myself, I tend to be a loner. I like to be alone. That's where I know I recharge. I can be with my own thoughts. I'm not taking on other people so much. But then again, like I said, even that, you can pick up on somebody else no matter the distance. So you can be completely alone and picking up on somebody else's stuff. Number 5, they tend to have anxiety or panic attacks. And I think that we've become a society of where we fear of what we might have. We fear whatever sickness we might have, or whatever new ailment that might be going around. Oh, we have that we might that we are mislabeling these things like anxiety or these panic attacks, and I think they come from that overwhelming energy that we're unconscious of, and we're not really being conscious of where we're directing our own energy, or where our own energy is even flowing, or what kind of energies that we might even be inviting into ourselves. So number 6, I've noticed a lot of empaths tend to be vegan or vegetarian, or even leaning that way. Now, me, I'm neither vegan or vegetarian. I've always leaned more, leaned? I've always leaned more towards leaner cuts of meat, like fish or chicken breast, but now even chicken and turkey are getting a little wearisome, so they tend to be vegan or vegetarian, I found. Number 7, this could go for anybody, but empaths tend to love nature and animals. That's kind of their time to connect and re-energize themselves. When you can feel just the peacefulness out in nature, you are tapping into that empathic ability to where you're feeling what's coming off of nature. A lot of us can feel that all that chaos right now, and that's tapping into those empathic abilities. Number 8, they dislike confrontation, arguments, and criticisms. Yeah, totally. I'm definitely one of those people. I don't like confrontation. I can feel the resistance and almost the anger or the frustration or whatever emotion it is coming out of that. So I always tend to shy away from it. Your strength is in how you respond. And notice I didn't say react, because a lot of society reacts. Our strength and our power comes from being conscious of what we're saying and taking the responsibility. That's what that word means. Respondability, the ability to respond to a situation or a person or whatever. Your strength and your power comes from your ability to respond. Number 9, empaths tend to be very, very creative beings because they are in touch with that very right-brained, emotional, flowy, very fluid type energy. Number 10, you tend to root for the underdog. that's just the empath in you. You tend to root for those people because you want to see everybody doing good. Number 11, sensitivities. Um, a lot of empaths, I know, myself included, have sensitivities to light or even food. I think that's where our gluten allergy comes from too sometimes. Uh, in some cases, not all. You have to remember we're energetic beings, we're vibrational beings. Food is vibration, so is light. All the things around us are energy and vibration. And you, as an empath, are sensitive to stuff, and you have to start being vigilant and conscious of what's going on, or maybe you got a headache or a migraine, and in journaling it or keeping track of it, you may realize that you have a sensitivity to light or gluten or things like that. Number 12, a lot of the empaths I know, myself included, they tend to have other abilities. They tend to be fast at healing. They tend to maybe see auras. They maybe have some kind of other gifts. You know, our bodies, of course, regenerate themselves, but empaths tend to heal faster, I've noticed. And some empaths see auras as well. Number 13, they tend to have, in addition to other abilities, they tend to be clairvoyant, some of them clairaudient, some of them clairsentient, some of them all the above. Empaths tend to exhibit those other abilities as well. Number 14, they have a thirst for knowledge. Yes, definitely. They tend to kind of soak up and want to know everything about everything, and that's me. I know that for me, when I was in fitness, I completely immersed myself. I mean, so to the point where, I mean, I got into bodybuilding, competing, and stuff like that. So I was just like, I just wanted all of that information. And now that my consciousness has expanded, I am looking for, I want to know everything about, like, maybe chemtrails, the chemicals that they're putting in the sky, or all the other things that might be going on that we don't quite know about, or like GMOs. I just want to know everything about everything that I could possibly know. Number 15, people trust you. People tend to just trust you with secrets, and they're normally just complete strangers. It's because they sense something about you, that you are somebody that is trustworthy, that you will keep a secret, that you have a lot of integrity. People can sense this, but we just don't realize that we can sense these things. And a lot of people kind of innately sense it, but they don't realize what they are sensing. So they tend to trust a lot of empaths with secrets or whatever have you. So that's really my list. I just wanted to compile a list of what I thought was kind of the main bulk of it. I did want to say that some of these traits are kind of like symptoms, in the sense that when you're not aware that you're an empath, you tend to have things like maybe anxiety or panic attacks rise up, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what this is, but here it comes again. But when you are aware that you're an empath, you're like, okay, I'm an empath, you're conscious of it, you can actually start to mold your experience of being an empath, like I talked in the beginning about making it a positive experience, more so, rather than a negative experience. Now that you may know you're an empath, you can start to identify where that anxiety may be coming from, which in turn will help you begin to manage it better, and then maybe even come to a place where it's completely gone. You can choose where this leads you. You can choose whether it's a positive or a negative. Remember, you are in control. You are a powerful being, and you have to remember that shit, because this is important to remember. If you don't believe anything I say, remember, you have control. You're a powerful fucking being. And that is all I have for you today. So, as always, infinite love from me to you guys. Support and like all my, all the videos. Please share them if they resonate. And till next time, guys, infinite love. Peace.